Also that I'll be running for governor of Michigan because I believe that our government should work well for every resident in our state. I believe that every leader in this state, no matter what party we affiliate with, should wake up every day trying to figure out how to save our residents time, save them money, and make all of our state agencies work efficiently and effectively for every single person. You know, I look at the data coming out of our employment numbers when you consider that 60% of our jobs in Michigan pay under $50,000 a year, yet costs are rising. The cost of housing is going up, the cost of food is going up, the cost of childcare is going up. Access to education is becoming more difficult for residents all across the state. So it's really important that we as leaders recognize that government must work for everyone, it must be transparent to everyone and accountable to everyone, but it also must work to save our residents time and money. And we've got to develop an economic vision for this state that will ensure we are raising costs and raising wages and decreasing the cost of living. So that's my goal, to actually develop an economic agenda for the state that will be investing in our people, taking our educational system, our schools, and where they're now ranked in the bottom 10 in the country, I want to see them ranked in the top 10 of our country. I want Michigan to be the best place in the country to be a kid, to raise a kid, and to call home. And so one of the things we announced today, and then I'll take questions, one of the things we announced today was an economic vision that will involve ensuring not just we uptick the performance of our K through 12 schools, but that we ensure every high school graduate has an opportunity for a paid apprenticeship position and job and upon graduation. But if they don't want to go that route, that we also create an option for a paid year of service to the state, a Michigan Corps, where high school graduates can, for 1 year, spend time serving the state, serving their community, serving each other, and then finish that year with funds to either invest in their own college education or start their own business or nonprofit. For those who want to go into college out of high school, whether it's 4- or 2-year college, we want to ensure that college is affordable. Having run an educational institution, a law school in the state, I know how to cut spending and increase opportunities for folks to go to higher education. But of course, when you graduate from one of our schools, we want you to stay in Michigan. And that means ensuring that whether you want to work in our auto industry or whether you want to work in the film industry, whether you want to invest in new technologies and develop new technologies or start your own business in another field, that all of those diverse industries are thriving and growing in our state. So in the months ahead, we'll talk more about some of those specific policies, but the bottom line is I will be a governor whose work is defined by efficiency and transparency. And I'll also be a governor that will work with anyone in a collaborative way to ensure we are investing in our people and making Michigan the best place to call home. So
Secretary Benson, you're a Detroit resident. Obviously, as you know, your mayor has already announced that he's going to run for governor. Why should Detroiters vote for you?
You know, I've been a proud resident of Detroit for almost 2 decades now. I moved here to clerk for Judge Damon Keith about 20 years ago, and I've been proud to see this city due to partnerships and investment from lots of business leaders and many others, really continue to grow and turn around. But we've got a lot more work to do to ensure everyone in the state feels safe in their homes and in their communities and in their schools and in their workplaces, that our schools, and as I mentioned, are among the best in the nation. And I have a track record for, as a statewide chief executive, running state agencies well and delivering to our people. And I know every single one of our state's 10.5 million residents have experienced firsthand how I can get things done, listen to residents, transform institutions, and make government work well for them, whether they live in Detroit or Grand Rapids or here in Lansing or in Houghton or in Hillsdale. So as a statewide leader about to embark on my 4th statewide campaign, we are dedicated to continuing to build that broad-based coalition of support all across this state and make sure that we're building a victorious campaign and then going to govern the state well with an ear towards what all citizens need and making government work well for everyone.
Madam Secretary, are you prepared to sign the no tax pledge that says if elected you will not raise taxes?
We're going to look at all of those pledges that are going to come our way. I do think we have to develop ways of generating revenue in our state that will enable us to invest in our people, in our schools, in our infrastructure, and some of that will involve looking at our current tax code and finding ways to cut wasteful spending in our state as well. That's the approach I took when I came into this office. That's the approach I took when I started running Wayne State Law School, and that's the approach I'll take when I come in as governor.
Would you sign the pledge?
I'll consider it, and we'll look into it, and I'll let you know our answer as we move forward into the campaign.
Most Democrats out of the box say, yeah, bring it on, I'll sign the pledge, or I won't sign the pledge.
Well, that's good to know. And again, my goal is to deliver a broad-based, people-focused economic agenda for for the state of Michigan. Taking pledges at this moment may not be the right way to go in that direction. My goal is to develop bold, innovative policies that will generate revenue and ensure that we're cutting wasteful spending and investing in our people.
Secretary Benson, you've kicked off your campaign with a message of transparency so far. How would you feel about a super PAC or a 501c4 donating to you? And if you're elected, would you take executive action to open the governor's office up to FOIA?
Yeah, I will. I will personally, as governor, comply with FOIA. I've done it every step of my career, whether I was dean of a law school or now as Secretary of State. We actually also created a portal in our agency where every FOIA request we get, we actually post the results online so that everyone can have access to that. I think every state agency should be doing that in the executive branch and in the legislative branch as well. I fully expect and would work to require that our lawmakers as well step up to the plate and live and govern in a transparent way. I think the residents of Michigan deserve no less. And as I've said many times, I want the hallmark of my governorship to be marked by government efficiency and transparency.
And on the 501c4s and super PACs?
I don't have any affiliated 501c4s or 527s, and I believe all money that is spent in politics to influence political opinion or lawmakers should be disclosed, and I'll continue to stand by that throughout my race.
Republicans are already attacking you, specifically
Surprise,
about
surprise.
that.
Can't believe it.
Specifically about that U of M Chinese student that was able to vote. What's your response to that?
We've talked about that a great deal. I mean, we work whenever there's any amount of fraud in the system, when people lie, when people aren't honest about who they are, that we find them, hold them accountable, and ensure that we are seeking accountability, as we did in this case, and referring it to the local prosecutor who is pursuing the case. I'm also happy to work with lawmakers on a variety of proposals to continue to ensure we're making it easier to vote and harder to cheat in our state, just as we've done throughout my tenure. And I look forward to those discussions, but I'll be clear. Those discussions must be data-driven and fact-based, not driven by conspiracy theories or political agendas. If they are truly fact-based and focused on doing right by all of our voters, then I'm happy to have those conversations, and I'm sure they'll play out much effectively in the months ahead.
Secretary Benson,
Yeah.
we're coming off an election where Michigan Democrats lost control of the State House. They lost a congressional seat. And one of the things that's been repeated quite a bit is that a failure to communicate an agenda for working-class voters.
Yeah.
What are you going to do differently?
Well, you know, I'm just wrapping up a tour of Michigan of community conversations where I've been everywhere from Canton to Grand Rapids to Marquette to Traverse City to Wyandotte and Flint and Saginaw. And it's been overwhelming to hear the number one through thread in every conversation is that people want access to higher paying jobs and lower costs, particularly when it comes to housing. It's no secret that we're in a housing crisis in this state and nationwide, and we've got to develop innovative, bold policies to ensure no matter where you live in Michigan, you can afford to buy a home or rent and call that community home. So for me, working to make sure we are listening to residents, hearing what they have to say, and when they say, I need access to quality childcare, I need to be able to not have to drive hours in order to get to a hospital or get access to quality health care. I want my kid to go to school, get a quality education, and then return home safely. As we hear all those things, as I've had across the state, we've got to develop a vision and a message to deliver on all of those things, and it's something that I've done as Secretary of State. We've set bold goals in my tenure, and we've met every single one of them, and now our bold vision for the future of Michigan involves affordable housing, higher wage jobs, affordable childcare all throughout our state, and again, really making sure we're meeting people where we are, showing up, making government work for them on their side, and delivering an agenda that will, among other things, make Michigan the best place to be a kid, to raise a kid, and call home.
Secretary, how would you govern differently than Governor Whitmer?
You know, I love Governor Whitmer. She's been a great friend over these last few years, and really appreciate all she's done to really invest and sign budgets that invest in our people, in our healthcare, in our education, and a number of other industries in our state. For me, the hallmark of my administration as Secretary of State and as Governor will be efficiency and transparency, making sure we've got an efficient government that works well for everyone and that every agency is effectively delivering. You know, we passed child care subsidies, and we have, 300,000 of our families can have access to those subsidies, but only 30,000 are getting access to them because we're not actually connecting the dots from our policy to how things are administered. I'm an administrator. I know how to get things done. I know how to run large institutions, and I come to this campaign and ultimately to this job with that background in mind, and that's what I'll be able to that's why I'll be able to go to the citizens in Michigan and say, we've got these policies, we can get these policies passed and funded, but then we've got to deliver and actually meet you where they are and make them real for all of you.
What policy positions would you take that are different, though, for example, on the topics like economic development?
Yeah, I've talked about my vision for a people-centered economic development policy where we are investing in education and in our people, making sure there's a paid apprenticeship program opportunity for high school graduates, making sure we have a year of service opportunity. We want to launch that for our residents, making sure we're making college more affordable and investing in not just our legacy industries and our auto industry and suppliers, but also new industries like our film industry, like climate tech. Really leveraging the Great Lakes and the other assets we have here to bolster tourism as an industry that invests in our state as opposed to simply just having people visit and then leave without giving back to our state. So we've got a number of policies that will build on a lot of the work we've all done together over the last several years, but the hallmark of all of them will be efficiency and transparency.
Secretary Benson, I've covered a number of these candidate signature events over the years, and they've all been held on the steps. Did you have some special pull to get this
It's
inside
cold
today?
No, it's cold, so we didn't want you all to stand outside in the cold, and
And
that's why
so
we're in here.
all other candidates for office for the next election will be welcome to use the lobby for their precedents?
Of course.
Okay, I don't think it's been permitted in some cases in the past because people have held,
Well, that's good to know, but it's certainly never come to my attention, but again, this was an effort to make sure that no one's getting frostbite.
Election's a long way away. Why'd you come out today?
Well, it's not lost on me that this week has been challenging for a lot of residents, whether it's been folks who are afraid and worried about the future of our state, worried about their own safety, worried about their kids' safety, worried about their community safety. My view as governor is that our job will be to stand up to anyone, anywhere, no matter how powerful, and make sure the residents of Michigan feel safe and protected in their homes, in their communities, in their schools, and in their workplaces. So this is a moment where we have to state very clearly who we are as Michiganders, as Democrats, and as government officials and leaders in the Midwest and throughout the country. Secondly, it's not lost on me that today, January 22nd, is the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, and a reminder of rights that we have lost over the last several years and rights we've got to continue fighting for to make real for every one of our residents. I visited a number of healthcare centers throughout our state and have seen how we've got to do more to really deliver, among other things, true reproductive health and services to every resident of the state who needs it. That's the type of stuff that I'm committed to doing as governor and why announcing on a day like today has special meaning.
Secretary, which government agencies do you consider inefficient?
Well, I certainly consider ours to be the most efficient, and when we look at the Department of Health and Human Services and a number of others, it's clear, and there have been several stories on this that we've got to do more to make sure that agency and many others are among the best in the nation as well as ours is. So that's my hope, again, whether it's delivering child care, health care, unemployment benefits, and a number of other things to our residents. We need our agencies to be fully funded and effective and efficient. And so I'll be meeting with leaders of all the agencies to look through what we can do and exploring perhaps some reshuffling that we might need to do to increase the efficiency of our state government and cut wasteful spending. But I have my eye on certainly our largest state agency, which is DHHS, and all the others that are led by great people who are trying their best, but oftentimes need more help, support, collaboration, and partnerships in order to get the job done.
Do you think DHHS is inefficient? Like in what areas?
I think in many ways we need to look and do a deep dive on how we can improve the efficiency of every state agency, DHHS being our largest and one that, like ours, interacts with every resident in the state. We need to, just as I did when I took office here, do a deep dive to make sure every way in which that office is meeting people, that we're doing everything we can to make sure those connective points are efficient. And I've met already. We have a lot of partnerships with DHHS and a number of other agencies, and have seen how it's important to get more partnerships, more support to those leaders so that they can deliver efficient services to our residents. So as the months go on, we'll be unveiling more specifics to, among other things, ensure that every resident has access to child care services, everyone has access to their unemployment benefits, that you don't have to jump through several hoops in order to get those benefits that you deserve. Things like that are what we'll be looking at and trying to streamline.
It seems like you're being big on anti-Trump at the start of this campaign. Why should Trump voters vote for you in November if you make it to them?
It's a great question. Yeah, a couple of things. I think if you're hearing what I'm saying, I'm actually big on government efficiency and transparency. That's what I'm focused on, and I'll work with anyone on any side of the aisle who's similarly committed to using data to make government work better for everyone. And at the same time, you know, I serve every single one of our Michigan residents, and no matter where they live or who they vote for, I want government to be on their side. When someone comes into our branches, I don't ask them who they voted for. I ask them how I can help make their lives a little easier. And it's one of the reasons I was able to, just a few years ago, win statewide in Michigan by 14 points, including winning a few counties on the west side of the state that no other Democrat won. Because I meet people where they are and work to ensure that they can have confidence in government no matter what political party they may be affiliated with or who they may have voted for in the last election.
Secretary, you recently clarified regulations around event tickets that lawmakers can accept from lobbyists. In the interest of transparency, who's paying for those Lions tickets that you've recently been able? Are you a season ticket holder?
I am. No, I'm not a season ticket holder. I wish we all could be season ticket holders as those, but no, I'm proud to be paying for those tickets myself.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thanks.
If Mr. Trump asked to use the state police to round up illegal residents in our state, would you do it?
I would stand up to anyone, anywhere, anytime who would harm the communities in our state. And you know, I've been really concerned about the words, the language, the rhetoric that continues to come out of the White House that would harm even just a feeling of safety of many of our residents who contribute significantly to the economy here. So we'll be making that case, and I'll be working with the governor. That's really in her purview right now. But the bottom line for me is that if someone tries to come to take away the rights and freedoms of our residents, I'll be there to stand in the way.
So if
got
you
time
asked
for
for the
2 more
state police,
questions.
you would say no.
We'll have to, you know, I don't want to go into too many hypotheticals on that
Well,
because
it's
the
not
details, but
hypotheticals.
certainly well, it depends on, you know, again, the where and the why and the what and all of those specifics. But the bottom line is if someone is trying to wrongly rob our citizens and our residents of their rights and freedoms, I'll be there to stand in the way.
Secretary, on the topic of efficiency, in 2018,
Oh, it's this morning. Yeah.
in 2018, you campaigned on a 30-minute guarantee. Governor Whitmer campaigned on Fix the Damn Roads. Can we accept a similarly punchy campaign promise from you in this?
Housing for everyone? We'll see. I mean, again, I'm focused on making sure we communicate to the residents of Michigan that as governor, I will make our government efficient. I will make it work for them. It will be on their side. Their voices, their needs will be at the center of every decision I make. And we'll work to be transparent about that as well so that people can have confidence that that is the case, that that is how government is working in Lansing, and that we're above all making sure we're investing in our people, and whether it comes to education or our economy, that people are the center of our decisions in our state. So we'll see as we go ahead. We'll be having lots of conversations all across the state. This is my 4th statewide campaign. I love traveling our state and meeting with residents, and we'll continue to do that and tell their stories and speak to their needs. And through that, you'll see the mission of this campaign continue to grow.
All right, last question.
Secretary, there was a tweet that your office sent out last night, and it was deleted. It announced your run, something you announced this morning. Did that force your hand to announce today? Can you kind of
Did not,
explain what went
no.
on
We
there?
were just so excited. I think people just got a little ahead of themselves. But that said, no, I'm proud to announce today we have, as you can see, a very really well thought out message in our launch video, a website that I'm really proud of that starts to lay out our priorities. And I've been overwhelmed by the support, the endorsements that we're rolling out today and will continue to roll out in the days ahead. We're trying to unify our party, build a strong campaign on day one, and that's exactly what we've done, and I'm really proud of that.
Is Stephen Ross one of those endorsements?
The person I used to work with,
Yes.
he has supported my campaign. You can see that in our campaign finance records. Thank you.
Secretary, would you do away with corporate subsidies?
That's a big question. Certainly there are corporate subsidies that need to be looked at. My approach to governance will be investing in people. And starting from there, investing in our workers, investing in our workplaces, and working with business leaders and employers to do that, but with a vision of what do our people need, not necessarily what do our corporate leaders need.
Secretary, when did you first start fundraising for this campaign? Obviously, you were filing within those 10 days. When did you first collect donations?
Well, you know, I've been a statewide leader for a number of years, and so I've continued to garner support from people all across this country and all across the state for the work I've done as Secretary of State, and now we'll, you know, begin telling our message to the people of Michigan about what I plan to do as governor, and hope people will invest in that vision as well.
Okay, thanks all.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you.